Hey, hi, Vinay. So, hello everyone, and thank you, each of you, for joining us from different parts of the world. Today we are here, gathered in, learning about the project management and how it's impacting the overall, industry. So, as you all know, the challenge is the main, that mainly in the professional to see, project management the way it's looked 5 years ago and even 10 years ago. So that's the gap we are here to close today. So today's masterclass is called PMBOK, which is version 8. What PMP aspirants, maybe you're looking to get PMP certified. So what you must know before you start your prep to start your get PMP. So over next hour, we'll be exploring how PMBOK 8, rephrase project management through 6 core principles and how PMP exam and now reward applied judgment and scenario analysis. Along with that, why you will be understanding these changes early can help you prepare with the greater confidence while earning one of the world's most respected certification, that is PMP. So now to guide us, to today's webinar, so we are joined by our experienced project management and leadership professional. He is an authorized trainer, partner, and instructor for PMI PMP and PMI CAPM. And also, he had a senior roles across administrations and organizational leadership. So please join us in welcoming Vijay Alfred for today's session. Over to you, Vijay.
Hey, thank you, Yashwant. Good day, everyone, and welcome to this quick session on understanding all about the new session of on the PMBOK, right? So, as many of you all know, if you are aware of the Project Management Institute or the PMI, and it's got different versions of the what we call the PMBOK, that's the Project Management Body of Knowledge. It's basically the manual that has been created by the PMI for a project management professional certification. And recently, as of July 9th, the PMBOK has basically moved on to what we call PMBOK 8, and it's the new version that has started off. So what we're trying to, bring to you and help you guys to understand, because many of us have this notion that things have changed, things have become really tough, and probably you guys might be getting a lot of reviews from from colleagues, from friends, from relatives, saying that a PMBOK certification is something pretty prestigious. That's one thing, yes, but it's something which is pretty hard to get. Okay, so we're trying to bust that notion, bust that myth. That's what we're trying to do. Okay, so like Yashwant had mentioned, we're going to talk about, why PMBOK 8 matters. Now, the thing is, uh, if many of you all might, if you are aware of what we call the PMBOK 7, okay, that is the version 7. So PMBOK 7, as we see here, it's basically it moved on. There was a drastic change between the PMBOK 6 and the PMBOK 7. Okay, but from the PMBOK 7 to PMBOK 8, like it says here, it's not really a complete reset. It is almost the same. The concepts are the same. Yes, it has been restructured, reorganized to make it a bit more practical, a bit more sustainable. And they've also tried to simplify and bring in various concepts. Like here is where we talk a lot about predictive projects and adaptive projects and even hybrid projects, and how we can include the different methodologies in our work process in project management, as opposed to what we were doing in PMBOK 6. So 7 and 8 is kind of very closely related. But yes, from 7 to 8, what the difference that came in is they brought in, earlier we had like 12 principles which a project manager would be expected to follow. But now what they've done is they've shortened that, simplified it, kind of, put everything in a better, packaging, better nutshell, and created 6 different principles only. Okay. And that's what we are expected of practicing in terms of our being a project manager. So that's what they say, being diligent, being, having a good collaborative team, creating a good way of effectively engaging your stakeholders on your projects. Mostly we focus on value because there's no point of us, delivering the project's deliverables with no value at the end of the day, right? So that's what we are looking at, making sure that the investors get what they want. They also now focus on ensuring that we are constantly, as project managers, evaluating our projects and also the scenarios, within the project. And mostly, yes, we have to be, leaders. We have to demonstrate a lot of leadership skills, leading our teams. So those are a couple of quick, principles that they bring in this time. And also earlier we used to have like different, knowledge areas, what we would call it. Now that has moved into what we call integrated domains. And now they have basically, again, brought in all the related, what we had knowledge areas, of the related expertise that you would require on a project. They basically combined it into seven, what we call integrated domains. And here is where, they talk about the stakeholder and the team, and about communication and how you deal with your stakeholders and teams, classifying them, identifying them, handling their communications. They talk about what kind of approach you would take up in terms of the life cycle. And they also talk about how you plan, do your project work, execute it, how you plan out your delivery, how are you going to monitor and control the entire project, how are you going to measure the outcomes or the benefits of a project, and eventually how do we deal with uncertainties or what we call risks, right? So you will notice that there are many organizations that have adopted these principles in terms of, and regardless of the kind of, industry that you've been in. You could be like, for example, there are organizations, like we could say probably the Saudi Aramco, which is a petroleum company. So they kind of have adopted the PMI. That's helped them to, really create a good, large scale structuring of their capital projects. It's helped them to, deliver a lot of complex projects in different complex environments as well. And Saudi Aramco kind of managed to use the principles of the PMI and the PMP to gain greater control on their schedule, their cost, the better planning, having better discipline in terms of, of a project manager executing certain projects, right, in whichever way they're looking at. Now, at the same time, what the PMI has done is, because, changes are something that's constant, changes are always going to happen, right? And why did they move from seven to eight? It's because the world changed, right? Everything changed, methodologies changed, new technologies came in. There comes in AI, okay, as one of the tools that a project manager would, be required to use. And so we need to know, how we can utilize it. Of course, it doesn't talk about us trying to do some coding in terms of AI and things like that. No, but yes, it does talk about how AI can aid better project management, better monitoring, better measurement, and so on. Now, earlier we had something called the focus groups, and now we call those focus areas. So this is back. This was not there in PMBOK 7. It was there in PMBOK 6. They skipped it in PMBOK 7, but PMBOK 7 was a little unorganized, and that's why they brought it back in PMBOK 8. And they create these things called the focus areas, where it talks about the different phases within your project. Like when you start off your project, you're going to initiate. So there's a lot of things you do before you start off a project, right? Probably some kind of paperwork, getting your regulations complied with, making sure that you are identifying your risks, etc. Okay, creating what we call a project charter, and identifying all our stakeholders and things like that. And then once we're done with that, based on those inputs that we get from there, we create a planning, or what we call a project management plan, which will of course have various areas of planning, right? Like schedule, your finance planning, your quality management planning, and so on, right? So you'll have all those different areas, which we call our integrated domains, which we spoke about earlier. And then once a plan is set, you start executing your plans. Okay. But of course, while executing your plans, you need to make sure that, there is the a good comparison being made between your plan versus actual. And that's where the monitoring and controlling takes over. In fact, monitoring and controlling is more like a background work that runs in all these processes, okay, in all these areas. And of course, once your project is completed, you have a specific way on how you close a project, right? Regardless of whether it was successful or not successful. Okay. So, companies have utilized these, in better ways. Like, for example, it doesn't matter whether, I'm in oil and gas, or if I'm in a construction background, or if I'm into softwares. Like, for example, if I say softwares, Google has kind of used a lot of the PMI principles or the PMP principles, although they are a lot more into an adaptive approach. They talk a lot about agile, but they've used a lot of the PMP, principles, where it has helped them to coordinate a lot of complex product and platform launches when they, have to do their integration. And it also helps them to manage all the dependencies between their teams, the geographies, among different geographies, and also aligning all their stakeholders. So it's helped them a lot, and they've used quite a lot of those techniques, when it's come down to, adopting a lot of PMP techniques. And at the same time, let's say, for example, a company like Amazon. Okay. So Amazon also, of course, it's very famous for its supply chain, if it's efficient supply chain. But behind that also is a very strong backing of project management, managing how certain processes work, especially, when you have large cross-functional deliveries at the scale at which Amazon operates. And of course, it helps them, to keep going on their fast-moving execution and across all the businesses and all the technology teams that they work on. Okay. Let's say, for example, companies like Siemens. Siemens also, they've got a lot of complex scheduling, lot of engineering coordination, especially with different technical functions within their own engineering backgrounds. Okay. And at the same time, a lot of international teams, international projects running. So Siemens also is one of those companies who have used this. So you'll find a lot of companies who adopt, the PMP, principles, and whatever you learn on these, on the courses that is being provided, and whatever you're going to complete. And as you should know, that PMP is not just a credential in this day and age. It's more like a signal of, of a person maturing, and having a good understanding on governance, on capabilities of how they can implement these on their projects itself in their organizations, and basically, improvising your deliveries. And so with when you talk about the PMP certification, uh, what we also look at is, if somebody's told you, yes, it's very difficult, well, this is how we simplify it. Okay. So what we actually look at in terms of our method of delivery is, we try to ensure that you do not memorize things, you understand concepts. Why is a process there? What does it do? What's the concept behind it? Where can I use it? What are the combination of concepts that I can use? At the end of the day, PMP also encourages you in real life, okay, to tailor your processes, tailor the way you need to work, tailor your methodologies. Okay. So what they basically give you is, here, this is what the tools and these are the processes that are available. This is what you can use. So go ahead and tailor it. But yes, we run you through the entire thing. You have to run through the entire, course, understand all the processes. And once, of course, once you've done, then you'll be good, right? Now, yes, why is the PMP respected worldwide? Well, it goes without saying, PMP is now become, one of the industry standard certifications. In fact, like I said earlier, it doesn't matter which industry, which background you're from, you will utilize everything on these certifications, all the concepts, all the techniques that you use. You will definitely use it regardless of what industry you're from. Even if you're from, an NGO, or let's say social work kind of organization, an organization like say banking, healthcare, in whatever background it is, you will use it everywhere. So it's very generically built, is what I would say. And that's the reason we also, during that exams, there is one specific exam which is applicable for everyone. Okay, so yes, we will be, driving you all through that and making you try to understand how this entire thing will work out for you. Of course, it's a worldwide certification, international certification, and in this day and age, there are a lot of companies also when let's say an organization is trying to win a contract or win a tender with, let's say, a government or any investor. Many times it's a requirement that they have to fulfill, saying that okay, these are the number of personnel that we have who are PMP certified. Okay, and do they have a valid certification or not? Okay, so that's the kind of viability that you see in terms of the PMP certification. So, yeah, like I mentioned earlier, there are a lot of companies, yeah, we did talk about, Aramco, and we talked about Siemens, talked about Google. So we have Shell. So there are a lot of companies, organizations, even if you see here, we have the World Bank. So a lot of companies that actually use and are, engaging with personnel who are PMP certified and actually require people who are PMP certified. Yeah. Now, yes, on our certification courses, we ensure that you are able to, transition into that PMBOK, gain all the knowledge that is there. Yes, we do have a good focus on principles and performance domains, making sure that each one you understand it every way. We use a structured study plan, and this structured study plan now is a standard structured study plan which has been created by the PMI themselves. Okay. And the PMI now requires instructors like us to be PMP certified. And we also have to take up a course which is, where we have an authorized training instructor. And same thing with upGrad. Upgrad also has to be an authorized training provider. So all of us go through a certain standard program in order to be eligible to deliver these kind of courses to participants, to ensure that participants are on the same page and have one certain standard of knowledge delivery. And of course, during the course, we will leverage and try to understand the agile and hybrid knowledge. Agile is basically the adaptive form of project management, which was mostly brought in by the software industry. And hybrid is basically a combination of the two. And we will be talking about those and what are the concepts and how you can use it eventually, right? We'll be talking a lot about that uh, on this, right? All right, so we can move into a Q&A session here. And if you do have questions which is related to content, I will be answering those. If you do have content related to, the administrative side of it, we will have someone from the R admin side to answer those to you. Yeah. So let's take in your questions.
Oh, Vijay, we have one question from Varun Sharma.
Yes, yes. Yes, Varun, I see a question. I had done the ILT sessions with you in June 2026, first week, and were the changes covered in those sessions? Yes, Varun, I believe if you've done it in June first week, because we had started with PMBOK 8 on in the month of May itself. Okay, so you would probably see that the changes are still applicable. So yes, if you plan on giving your exam now, nothing has changed. Okay, and okay, Mayank enrolled in PMBOK 7 with upgrad. Will the course be upgraded, or I need to buy another course? Uh, Maybe Yashwant, if you can answer the Mayank's question.
Okay, just a moment. Yeah, of course, since we have updated with the exam preparations and everything according to the PIMBO. so you'd be prepared for the new exams.
Okay, then I see Kavita has a question here. Is Rita Mulki 11th edition still valid? Not very sure on what is on Rita Mulki's 11th edition, Kavita, so I don't think I'll be able to answer that question for you. Uh, in a class taken PMBOK 7. Yeah, so June, I guess the answer that we have given to Mayank also applies to you. Since PMP exam is changed in July 9th, are the PMP question preparation training will prepare us? Yes, so the new sessions that we are going to, run, uh, takes you throughout the entire content for PMBOK 8 and is basically specifically for the July 9th after post July 9th exams. Yeah. For the new format or the new pattern is what we would say. Anyway, uh, is any support will be receiving if we had enrolled and completed the training in December last year and yet complete the certification exam. Uh, um, uh, Madhusmita, I mean, last December it was still PMBOK 7. So, yes, you'll have to go through the entire PMBOK 8 before you actually, move in because the structure of the entire thing has changed. All the concepts remain the same, but the structure, the relativity has changed. So yes, you might have to go for that PMBOK 8 itself. Will they change the format? Azmira, not really. The next format that changes would not be before, at least not before 2 years. Okay. But what happens is, let's say, for example, that's a good question you asked me, Azmira, as well. So what happens is, if you have given the exam, let's say you passed the exam using the PMBOK 8 pattern. Okay. Once you have your PMBOK certification, you are PMBOK certified for life as long as every 3 years there are a certain number of experience, what we call PDUs. Like right now, you guys are going to complete it and you're going to get one PDU. That's what we call a professional development unit, right? So over a span of 3 years, you need to collect around 60 PDUs, and that automatically makes you eligible to renew your PMP certification without any exam for a further 3 years. Okay, and these PDUs you could get it through various ways. You could get it through, doing new courses, or probably writing blogs, or probably attending seminars, and so on. Okay, so there are various ways of doing that. Okay. Okay, will upGrad provide PDF version of the PMBOK 8? No, Manoranjan, what we do basically from upGrad is, of course, when you have to take up the exam, you will be required to become a member of the PMI, that's a Project Management Institute. And once you become a member for the PMI, you are automatically eligible to download the PMBOK 8 for free. Okay, that comes included with the membership fee. Okay. Okay, I see Shakuntala. Which are the recommended books to be referred for the exam? So, Shakuntala, we go through a very structured, PMBOK created or PMI created, schedule and their content. Okay, so ideally, what I always suggest with because we all have a lot of interactive sessions also throughout our courses. So we'll have a lot of interactive sessions. So what I usually do is I run you all through that. You'll have a lot of discussions among team members. You'll have doubt clearing sessions and things like that. And what we usually do is, by the time you're done, we usually put you into, starting off with the mock tests and practice tests and guiding you after that. So ideally, yes, we do tell you to, if at all you're, short of knowledge on the concepts, then we would tell you to, refer to certain concepts. But other than that, you don't really need to read different books. Yes, if you're the type who prefers, because everyone has a different way of, grasping knowledge. So if you do prefer that, okay, you feel that there are more books that you would like to read, or if you're the kind of person who just, tries to Google stuff, everyone has their own methods. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so I see Kevin. So I am currently working in a more admin operation. side of PMO, which does not involve project planning, close to requirement side of things. Does PMP enable me get into future roles? Yes. So basically, what happens, Kevin, is even though you're on, the requirement side or, going ahead and doing the operations, PMP basically covers everything, all the way from what a business analyst does. We try to understand that. Based on that, how do we, execute the entire project, giving them the deliverables to the end. So it's more like an end-to-end kind of thing where, you ultimately get doing the sign off with the stakeholder. So you understand the entire process. Okay, so basically, in your case, it would probably cover up all the gaps if at all you have any. Yeah. Uh, okay. So, Vajit, I see that you did not clear the exam. So yes, see, at the end of the day, even though you are, studying, you take the course, we always advise you to do an additional self-study of, let's say, 2 to 3 weeks. Okay. So hopefully, if you do, undertake it with us and this thing, uh, we make sure that you will be prepared enough to attempt your exams. And I mean, just for an example, last Saturday I had completed a session. On Sunday, one of the participants gave the exam and we got certified. Okay, so that's how we basically take it. So it's not like if you're a beginner, you're going to be left out. So don't think that you need too much of experience or anything. The way the entire program is structured is right from even if you just finished college. Okay, it's going to take you right from that point all the way to, at least I would say mid-level professional, not professional, but probably mid-level professional. Okay, 60 PDUs over the course 3 years. 60, Alexander, not 60. Okay. So 60 PDUs is, let's say, for example, if you worked on a project, okay, and those projects are, let's say, for probably 3 months. Okay. So how many hours did you work for 3 months? Probably you worked for maybe in let's say around 240 hours probably over a month. That's 240 PDUs. So all you need is 60 PDUs. So what you do is you usually collect these certificates or experience certificates or experience letters and keep uploading it on the PMI's website. You will on your portal basically, which is given to you, and they keep assigning PDUs for you over those 3 years. And the moment you have 60, you're ready for the next renewal. Okay, if you uploaded more than 60, then the balance would be carried over for the next year, right? Okay, do we need to pay any additional fees if we are changing from PMBOK 7 to PMBOK 8? Vipul, firstly, are you already PMBOK 7 certified? That's my question. Okay, you can let me know in a bit. Okay, completed training PMBOK 7 in March, but couldn't take the exam. Now that's updated PMBOK 8. Do we need to enroll again? You can enroll again with the new trainer. You can you with the same trainer. That's up to you. Probably you can let if you've done it through upgrade, you can tell them who the trainer was, and then probably they can again assign you to the same trainer. Yeah. I'm expecting no cost for retake. Okay. So Vajit, it works like this. If you are a PMI member, okay, and let's say you took your test and you did not clear it, the next test that you take, okay, uh, you will not take it at the same price. There is a cost. It's not like no cost. There is a cost for the next test, but you don't have to pay the full thing. I think it comes to around probably you'll pay only 60% or 50% of the actual cost for a retake, that is. Yeah. Also, the exam for PMBOK 7 will not be available anymore. No, PMBOK 7 is not available anymore. But Eddie, if you have paid, when did you pay is my question. If you've paid anytime before May, then that was PMBOK 7. If you've paid after May, that would be PMBOK 8. Okay. Is this possible that we enroll ourselves for PMI for self-study later on once have enough understanding, then pay for the training fee? Yeah, you could probably do that. You could probably do that. Yes. Are there any courses that doesn't need exam but can be certified for a short-term program or by undergoing training? Okay, Sheila. So what happens is on the PMI, on the website, if you become a PMI member, for a member, you will have a couple of free small short courses, like for 2 hours or 3 hours. Okay, but it doesn't certify you for like on a professional level. It's just those small courses that can be completed free of cost. Yeah. 80 plus is not good enough, Wajid. Go in for 90, 95, then I think you should be good. And remember that just more, not mock exams, there are some actual real scenario mock exams. Okay. If you've with the timer on. Okay. So I would suggest you also finish all those, the one which where you have where you have the option of also being timed, taking that break, 10-minute break and everything. Okay. So make sure that you try something like that. It's enough to clear PMBOK 8, but you have to go through the mock exams. You have to go through the mock tests. You have to go through the real life tests, and then only can we say that you will be probably prepared. In fact, what I usually tell most of the participants is like, if you feel that you're prepared and you still have a doubt, let's have a word, let's have a quick discussion, and so that I can gauge where you stand. Okay. Okay, I enrolled in PMBOK 7, had taken class, however, I could not appear. So, do I need to pay the additional fees? Yes, if you're going into PMBOK 8, you will have to pay the additional fees if you want to the course, or if you still have access to the upGrad site, and if you feel that you can look at the content there and prepare by yourself, you can always do that as well. Okay. However, it might take you longer, so I would just suggest if you can probably do it with us. It would be beneficial because you'll, see all the new concepts and how the new connectivity has happened. Okay. Okay. I took a course Komal, what you took is Spinbox 7. Okay, so yeah, it has changed now. Okay, and yes, if you still have, like I said, same answer for Vipul. Okay, if you have the access to PMBOK, to the upGrad's website, and you still this thing, if you think you can manage to self-study with 8, you can probably try that. But I would always suggest, go in and do it in a more structured way than, it might take you longer to prepare by yourself. Okay. How many mock exams is required? Well, I always suggest, at least 4 to 5, and make sure that, you score above 90 in each new one that you take up. Yeah. Okay, so Rucha, I believe you have a break in 2026. Yeah, in 2026, if you've had a break, that's not a problem, as long as it's still 2026. So yeah, you can definitely, fill in your application. But again, just to be on the safe side, you can always speak to the counselor first. And then because there's an application that you have to fill before you give the exam, and that application goes in for scrutiny. So it's best that you speak to the council. They will help you and try to ensure and see where they can close in any gaps there. Yeah. How much time commitment would be needed to pass the exam, 2 to 3 months? Varun, it depends on you. Okay, if you're the kind of person who is grasping concepts really quick, doing your mock exams, giving in more time, like I could give in maybe 1 hour a day, and probably I could give in 3 hours also a day. Okay, so it depends. If I the more number of hours I give, the shorter the duration, or in terms of months or days. Yeah. So if I've taken 35 hours requirement back in 2025, okay, but haven't. So by now, depends. 2025, which month did you do it, Mega? That's another question. Because if you've done it, let's say, for example, in January or February or March, if it is above 1 year, then, and if probably even if you're registered on the PMI, even that 1 year for the exam, it expires. Okay. Javed, completed my training, gaining PDUs and SEUs for 35 hours in April 2026, March, April. Okay, but couldn't take the exam. Uh, no, you don't need new PDUs. What you can probably do is, go through the PMBOK 8 changes on the site if you're able to access the Prism. And once you do that, if you're ready with the mock, just attempt some mock tests, see how you're doing. And if not, if you're okay with it, you can go ahead and register for the exam again. 7, right? So Mega, you've done it in February February 2025. So that's one year over. So you'll have to do it again. Yeah. The pace of learning is the variance. I assume consistency is key. Yes, exactly, Alexander. It's the pace of learning of or during our sessions is going to be regular, but how you prepare, that's up to you. Yeah. Uh, all right. I guess I have come to the end of the questions. If I missed out anyone else's questions, please do let me know. Okay, Wajid, again, right, send me. So this Wajid, I really can't explain that to you. Probably I could request Yashwant. Maybe Wajid has a query there.
Hey Wajid, no, anyways, I have made a note of your concern, so we'll get back to you within 24 hours and our team will get connected with you. Sure, sure. I've already made a note of it, Vajit.
Okay, there's one.
Alisa, yes, we'll get to that topic, the details and the pricing part. So coming with our, no, the following form stories. Okay.
Uh,
Anyways, you have reached out and I have made a note now, so I will get it done, in next 24 hours. Okay, nothing to worry about it.
I'll just
So
answer
yeah.
Zaki's question, Yashwant. So
Uh-huh.
for certification, one should have continuous work experience, or if you on a career break. So you could always put in, if you've had a career break, preferably, hopefully if it's not too long, then and even if it's too long, you could always put in your application and see whether it gets updated or accepted. Okay, so that career break also, as long as it's not very, very long. Okay, but even if you worked on it and you can, specify that, you're restarting career, definitely it does get accepted. Yeah. Well, Varun, depends on what industry you're from and what's your line of work. I have trained people who've got 25 years experience as well. So, so 15 years is quite, still less. All right. So if you're from banking process and operational excellence. Yes, why not? Yes, it will definitely help you. It will definitely help you. Yeah. Okay, if we have questions, more questions related to the course and how the course would follow or with exams, uh, you can ask them. If you have more, I'll be ready to answer those. But if you have anything related to how this course is going to work for you and the process of the fee payments and all that, uh, Yashwant will begin with his section here. Okay, Yashwant, I think you can
Great.
take it.
Yeah. So, coming with our, the training, as you all know that, whoever is planning to get into the next step where, to start your project management journey. So here, Knowledge It offers you a comprehensive PMP certification training. So where you would be having a live instructor-led training, which is 36 hours. So you would be flexible to choose a weekday or a weekend batch, whichever you're convenient with. And along with that, you'll also be having an standard plan and the pro plan. So basically, the standard plan where it covers the same training, 15 hours of mental led study, and you will also be getting the exclusive resource that is a PMI study plan, that are your study materials. Along with that, you'll be getting a full length, PMP test, that is your mock test. And with that, you'll be getting your practice questions, that is your PMI practice question, which is 500 plus. When the add-on with that pro plan is, so you'll be having an everything in standard, which adds on. And apart from that, you'll be having a five mock exams. So in standard plan, you just have a PMP test, that is your mock test. So here you'll be having a standard mock exam. So where exactly, as you know, which I mentioned, so you'll be having a timeline where the countdown will be started. So how exactly you'll be doing your actual examination, so you'll be able to practice in the mock exams. And coming with that, you'll also be having an exclusive boot camps worth $2,500. And apart from that, you'll be having a flexi pass option, which is, for example, if you complete the training in this month or maybe the upcoming batch, and you still have 180 days to get back to the live session again. So if you have any further queries while preparing for your exam, so you can again rejoin to the live training without paying any additional cost. So that's the advantage of Pro Plan. So likewise, you'll be having more advantage here. So coming with that, so as you all know, you'll be having Explorer. You can choose a batch for both the weekday and a weekend. So whichever you're convenient, you will be able to go through it. And if you'd like to go and check the details, I'm just displaying the QR code, so which usually helps you to scan and land up in the page. So if you scan this QR code, so you will be redirected to the website, the PMP certification training. So where we do have a batch which is upcoming. So if you'd like to enroll for the training, so you have an exclusive discount which is 20% only for the attendees who have attended today's webinar, that is masterclass. So you can use this below discount code, that is PMP Vijay 20. So you will be able to claim 20% discount on the training. And even we have dropped a website link on the chat also. You can use that if you're not able to scan, if you're on our phone or something. So you can directly click on the link which is shared on your chat box, so where it will takes you to the website. And as I said, you would be having an option to enroll for the training. And if you'd like to enroll with the bundle, where if you would like to add your PMI exam voucher as well along with a membership, yes, you will also be having that option. Where do we do have training separate option, or if you'd like to go with a bundle, which training and exam voucher together. So whichever is convenient, you would be able to go with that. So if you have any queries related to the training or the schedules, you can let me know. I'll be there to help you with. And apart from that, as a reminder, people who stayed until the end of the today's session, so will receive your PDOs within next 48 hours max. And apart from that, the special benefit for the attendees of today's masterclass, you'll be eligible for the 20% discount, which is displayed on the screen and also in the chat box. How do we receive it? Uh, receive regarding your course details, or you'll be receiving it on your email, so it will be shared to you. And if you have any further queries, even after the session, so you will be able to reach out to us. You can see the recording of this. Even that will be shared over your email. And anyways, we are on live on LinkedIn. So next few hours, you'll be able to see the live as well. Okay. So I think we came to an end of this today's session. So we hope this masterclass have given you a valuable insights into PMP certifications and how it can support your professional growth, right? So we appreciate your participation and look forward to hear you and enroll with us for the training, and welcome you another knowledge at upgrad masterclass session. And also have a great wonderful day ahead, evening, or wherever you're joining us from. Thank you once again, everyone. Thank you so much, Vijay.
Thank you. Thank you, Yashwant. Thank you, everyone. Hope to see you guys joining in soon in one of our sessions. Have a great day ahead. Bye bye.